This is the Calhoun County Chamber of Commerce, and today we are talking with Senate 12 candidate Jim Williams. And Mr. Williams, if you would take just a minute to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my whole life has been about public service, military, civilian, and volunteer. That started during Vietnam when I turned down a graduate school deferment to volunteer for the Navy in bomb disposal because I didn't think it was fair for people like me who were lucky to go off to graduate school when other people were being drafted and sent to Vietnam. I spent 30 years in the Navy, ran peacekeeping operations in Bosnia and shipping operations in Saudi Arabia. Along the way, I taught at the Naval Academy and the Army War College, and also worked for the governor's office for 3 years in Indiana, and that's all the politics I ever wanted to be around. So I had never had any political ambitions. My wife is from Sacs here. That's how I wound up down here, and basically felt like there's just some things that we need to do to make Alabama a better place for everyone. And since I couldn't get anybody else to run for it, I decided I had to stand up and do it.
All right, thank you. Now we'll get into our questions. Our first question is dealing with infrastructure. With the infrastructure challenges facing the state, what are your solutions for those infrastructure issues, and how would you fund them?
Well, infrastructure is one of several major areas that are really important to moving Alabama ahead. We rank 31st overall in infrastructure, and we rank a D+ in roads and bridges. That's number 2 in terms of site selection factors for corporations. So not having good infrastructure is a handicap. One of the things that's been proposed in the legislature in the past that I would support is at least a modest increase in the gas tax. That hasn't increased since 1992, and that's one of those things I think can sort of spread the pain around to that extent. There are probably other things that can be done, but one thing about infrastructure that I see as critical, and that's expanding broadband internet into rural areas, because a lot of our rural areas are basically dying, and that's something that could be done maybe through bond issues or partnerships with industry, a variety of things, but those are a couple areas that we really need to address.
Okay, thank you. While prescriptions for opioids have fallen nationwide since 2012, Alabama still experiences a high rate of opioid-related prescriptions. In 2016, there were at least 1.2 opioid prescriptions for every individual in the state, and an 82% increase in deaths from the overdoses between 2006 and 2014. What potential measures do you support that might help mitigate this crisis?
Well, there's something to understand about the opioid crisis, and particularly opioid crisis in Alabama. Our opioid death rate has increased 9-fold since 1999. We write more prescriptions per capita than any other state in the country. Most of those prescriptions are written for pain, and that relates to the nature of jobs in the state. We have the 8th highest disability rate in the nation, and a lot of that results from injuries in the workplace. So part of there, yes, there is very definitely an issue there, but we have to look at what is it that's driving those things, and I think we have to address it very carefully. There was a comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act passed in 2016 that takes a multifaceted approach at the federal level, and I think that's what we need to follow. But increasing mental health resources is also a very big piece of that.
Okay, thank you. Next year, with budget considerations, what are your priorities and how would you fund them?
Okay. Well, the biggest economic development action that the state could take in its history would be expanding Medicaid. By turning that down, the state turned down $21 billion over 10 years. It would have generated somewhere between 12 and 30,000 jobs. The argument for that was it was going to cost too much. Well, simply the additional tax revenue generated by Medicaid expansion and the jobs that would have generated twice the revenue that the expansion cost was. So never mind 300,000 people left without coverage, and we've now had 7 hospitals close in the state. So all these things have a huge impact. That would be my #1 priority, and finding the seed money for that could be an issue, but I think it's one of those things where the returns on investment in the people in the state justify some extraordinary measures.
Thank you. With a declining population in this area, what are your views and ideas on how to turn it around?
Well, Alabama is in some real sense is a dying state. We have an aging population. We have a high disability rate that decreases our workforce. We have a lot of people out there who, for lack of basic educational skills and other skills, are not employable. And the 18 to 34-year-olds are fleeing the state rather than coming to it. All of those things, along with the poor healthcare system and poor education, are deterrents to people coming in and businesses coming into this area. So this is not something we got into. We didn't get into this hole overnight. We're not going to get out of this hole overnight. But particularly focusing on improving education and improving healthcare in this area would be big things. And then we have excellent career technical education, things like that. We're going to have to build our way out of the hole.
Thank you. What are your solutions to help provide necessary resources to support Alabama's current and future workforce needs?
Well, this is beginning to sound like a broken record, but we're really going to have to start at the beginning. One of the things is basically getting pre-K education throughout the state. With the plus up that the state legislature did this last time, that will still only reach out 3 out of 10 kids in the state. Once you don't get kids off on a good footing, then you're basically a generation behind, and that's where we are. So we've got to look at starting to build those things. There's been a lot of discussions on the chamber things about the soft skills, basically stay off of drugs, show up for work on time, and show up every day, things like that. We have good technical education programs that slots are going on the field because kids aren't prepared to go into and fill those slots. And those are some of the kinds of things we have to look for at workforce development.
Thank you. You touched on this issue a little bit, but what measure would you support to better stabilize hospital finances in order to prevent future closings?
Well, again, Medicaid expansion is critical. One of the people I know has run some numbers on hospital profitability in the state. Our state hospitals operate on less than 1% profit margin. When you have uninsured people walking in the door who have to be treated for emergency purposes, and they can't bill for that, or they can't recoup those expenses, your profit margin's gone. So expanding Medicaid and having people insured so that when they come into the hospital, they can be taken care of would have a huge impact on the financial situation. Same way, a lot of people, or most people who don't have coverage, don't go to the doctor for preventative measures. So basically, when they go, it's already a very serious, costly kind of thing. And simply, again, getting people insured and taking care of their preventive needs would go a long way towards stabilizing the situation.
Thank you. Now we have just take a minute to tell the voters anything that you may have thought about during some of the previous questions that you had come up with that you wished you just said, or just anything that you would like for the voters to know.
Okay. Well, first of all, Alabama is a beautiful state with a lot of wonderful people. This has been our home now continuously for 21 years. That's one of the reasons I'm running for office. I feel like we can be a lot better off than we are. We can't cut our way out of this hole. We have to invest in the people in order to be able to make a better future for everyone, and that's really what motivated me to move for this. Just like I volunteered for bomb disposal in Vietnam, this was not a want to do. This was a got to do, and to that extent, I'd like to have the opportunity to go and serve the people of Alabama and Calhoun County and Talladega County in the Senate.
Thank you. Mr. Jim Williams, running for Senate 12. We appreciate your willingness to put yourself out there for the political process and your interest in serving in this area.
Thank you.